Okay. All right. So good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday. I'm really excited to have the beautiful Yendre Shen on this morning for our webinar, our Wednesday webinar. Yendre is a naturopathic doctor, and she is an incredible mind. I can't wait for her to
Oh,
talk.
thank you.
There's so much in there, and she's recently, not recently, adopted her intuition, but has been led by her with her intuition for quite a while now in her life, and sees the power of it. And so Yandra now coaches others in getting more, that's my dog just running around, getting more in touch with her intuition, and being able to utilize their intuition in their daily lives. And one of the conversations that Yandra and I had was how our stories, the stories that we carry with us for our lives, are so connected. And she could see this in all the patients that she serves, to our bodies and what's going on in our bodies. And so I love this topic. I think it's so interesting. And I know that Yandra is going to share so much more. So I'm going to mute myself and Ella, and Yandra, let you
Sure.
take it. Sounds good?
Great. Thank you so much. I'm really excited that you're here to have this conversation with me because it's a very profound one. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about what my intentions are for today and how it would go. So I've been practicing for 18 years and I have done a lot of my own personal work. So I have, I guess, glean the secrets when one seeks the truth. And I really want to just be able to share that with anyone who, hang on. Oh, wow. Okay, cool. I'm just learning how to use it. So I really want to just share the secrets so that you too have this information in how you can benefit from knowing this knowledge. I have seen people for many different kind of conditions, and basically our bodies is a physical record of our lives, and sometimes that can feel very shocking, but if you think about all the thoughts, feelings, and decisions you had in the past, it basically has accumulated to the result you have in this present moment. So that can be a bit daunting because if you can spend a moment to absorb that truth, it can be hard to acknowledge. And also it's a wake up to recognizing maybe even sleepwalking in your life in terms of not knowing how you might be making choices that isn't what you really want to be the result in your life. So I'll give you some examples of people who come with certain ailments and how it plays out as a story. And I'll show you some tools I use to unravel the meaning of people's stories, and then what are the techniques I engage with people who want to be my patient. So I have a mom who comes and she has gained weight, and as we talk, she's a recent widow, so she's going through grief, and she began to see the connection that she's gained on weight because she felt that there's men who are approaching her and she's not ready for that. So she's basically gained weight as almost like an armor to protect herself from getting unwanted attention, from being attractive. So there's a lot of, unconscious, unknown reasons for why we do certain things. So there's another story of a male patient who's a bachelor. So he doesn't really like to cook. So what he tends to do is that he'll just have one big meal by going to a Chinese buffet, right? So as a result, he recognized that his digestion isn't as great. He doesn't tolerate greasy food very well. So there's just a ramification of his weight, his digestion. He's not eating his meals properly. So just an example to show you how certain ways we do life ends up showing up in the body we own, So this revelation can be very powerful, because what it can offer you is looking at the results. It's like reverse engineering to find out what may have been your thought process. So you can rewrite some of that. Of course, you know, old habits are easy because they're familiar, and to form new ones take more diligence and practice, but it can be done. So sometimes I use this big book. I don't know if you can see it. Okay, it's basically, it just says messages from the body. So it's a whole binder of deciphering all the complaints of our body and what it really means underneath. And I share some of the reading with my patients. I sometimes take a photocopy and give it to them. And it's just an opportunity for them to look at how this presentation of their physical body symptoms had been an outcome of sometime very early childhood, family influences, or belief systems. And another way we take this, if people want to engage in, is that we actually I have the patient write their biography. So if they wish, they can write their life story, and in our visits, we go over it and they will share that. And there's something very powerful that happens as people experience being heard, being validated for what pain or hurt they went through. And I'll just tell you the whole process that goes on, but it does require, you know, diving into this experience to get the benefit though. So as the person read the story, and I'm giving my full attention and compassion and being there to accept them as they are, there is something that begins to loosen. And as we do this, what happens is we do a reversal. So I begin to read the story back to them. So there's a slow separation that happens where we don't become so attached and embody that story as that's the only truth there is. So, and we do this a few times, and there is this almost peeling away. They begin to see that these are events that happen, and I was a child, I was powerless, but that's not me now. And it gives them an opportunity to rewrite their story. And there's another step we can take when, you know, the person wants to, is that you can actually write your future story, which is very fun, right? As children, we always are making up stuff. You know, they'll use their imagination and they'll say, you know, pretend this, pretend that all the time when you watch them play. And they're making stuff. And as we get older, we lose that part to be imaginative and just make up anything, because we don't have the adult mind, the logical mind, to say what's possible and not possible. And even those ideas are someone else's ideas, you know? So sometimes this process helps us free from being stuck with a story we carry our whole lives. So I also use another technique in my work where I do what's called muscle testing. And with muscle testing, you can actually really tap into the truth of who you are. And this is done when the practitioner provides a space of great neutrality and non-attachment, and just for whatever guidance there is for the greater good. So the patient, if they are trusting and allow this process, it also makes, you know, what is most beneficial come through. So we'll do muscle testing, and we can confirm certain truths for the person, as well as certain belief structures. And we can actually use what I call, well, there's a system of therapy called NATE that's used to eliminate allergies, but it does the same with clearing emotions and beliefs. So beliefs are basically decisions that we have thought about what's real in the world. And this is necessary when we're young because we don't have all the information. So we use it to help us navigate. But sometimes those belief systems are no longer beneficial, useful, and untrue. And so we need to rewrite that. And when we do, clearings for the belief or emotions, you get to loosen that up and you can implant a new one. You can do this on your own as well when you find a belief you're aware of and you just notice it and rewrite it. Now, it takes the practice of changing your behavior to implement the new belief to get it in place, because you have to erase the old one. So there is this focus of your attention to do the actual inner work. So the knowing is not enough to really create the new change you want in your life. There is a level of practice and consistent effort which give you more mastery. So that is where, having someone that give you the input and observation that will help you in your progress. Is there anyone with questions right now? Because I want to go into something else.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
I've actually done this testing of a body.
Yes, muscle testing. Wonderful.
Before,
Good.
and it revealed very quickly some things that I had never thought about. So that was amazing.
Yes.
So my question is, I've done this quite a few years ago. Does that get released now? Do you now have different beliefs? Like, how do you know? And do you have to keep doing this muscle testing over time?
So that's a very good question. Every time you tap into seeing what's hidden from your view, it becomes you're less unconscious of it. You're less sleepwalking. Okay. There are ways to implant stuff. It does from my observation, from my experience, it takes a few efforts. Unless the person who is able to hypnotize you, or you become so clear on the truth and you just decide, like full on, go like all in the side, it can happen very fast.
Okay.
So it varies. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So sometimes a person needs many times to learn the lesson.
Right.
And it's part of the journey. So I know it's frustrating when you want it just to happen fast. But sometimes it's sort of like you're here to learn lesson, Yeah. And there is a bit of bias toward our pain and suffering as in not good, because we hold that view, we always want to get rid of it. But once you do come over to the other side, to the other end of it, you will have such gratitude for that journey to allow you feel much more purpose, to your life, and how you can now use this to help others, So you can't get that until you actually travel down that road.
Okay.
So there's the thing that I work with people for their intuition is it's so powerful that they hold the answers, and I want them to be empowered to become independent of needing me, right? And as as I do my work, as someone else do the work, then it kind of ripple effect in affecting more people. It's like we've been infected by this virus of wrong ideas, wrong beliefs, and we have to undo it. We have to like reinfect the world with the right ones. So it's that inner work that allows this spreading effect. So everyone that told us very limiting ideas and belief is because that's a reflection of them. And when we're not yet powerful to know that, we just borrow it or take it on as our own. So this is your whole life's work, is almost rewriting your childhood. Yeah. And when you become empowered by that, it becomes fun. You go back to be a child again. You go back to be a child again in like knowing that, wow, in all the stuff I made up as kids to play, I can do that as an adult too. You know, so that's a full circle. And the journey process with development of intuition usually starts with a lot of doubt, right? A lot of doubt because you're just not confident, you don't trust yourself, you don't have a lot of experience. So, and then over time, you become to discover like, hey, there's something to this. I should listen to it more, right? And then there's like a discovery. And gradually you will develop, and then you have more strength, like you build up some muscles until you get really good and you just have full belief, like no one can knock you off, you know, this stance you have. And then that's when you want to just use it because it's your gift. You just know it's a gift. And you can incorporate this gift in many, like anything you do. You know, it doesn't have to be the way I use it, where, you know, I just declare my mission is to make people, I mean, in the future, that is just a social norm that we all use our intuition. You know, it's not like something, oh, yeah, it's there, but, you know, I think it's just too woo-woo, right? So that's sort of my mission. And I sort of create a group where people can, you know, engage in practicing daily things to help enhance that, right? So, but anyone with any business, any profession, because you're using intuition all the time, you know, and you'll use it professionally, and whatever you do, it'll be part of it. And I love it because it's like the bullshit detector, right? It just knows the truth. It doesn't matter what people are saying, but you can read it. You can see through all the facade. And that's beautiful, you know, because that's what we want in the world. So does that help? Yeah. So my work is really hold that space of belief in the person to get from doubt to the different stages to where they believe. And that's like the magical part. That's like you becoming your child again, like you and your wild child spirit is now united, you know, like you claim it back and you live with that alive in you. And then it's just fun, and you're going to enjoy the writing of your future. So until you get there, you know, the writing of future feels like, what's that? You know, it's silly, or, you know, and it's kind of funny where we might have the attitude because we only write about the past, except for like fiction or futuristic, you know, super sci-fi, right? But no one says we can't write our future either, you know? And this is really the whole concept about goal setting and visualizing, and, you know? So
yeah,
I'm gonna,
sorry, I have a question. Is it okay?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Just because, like, I'm thinking about times that I use my intuition. And sometimes, like, my intuition gives me like a warning sign, right? So it's or what I think is my intuition, right? Because I'm feeling like this isn't right. Like, I'm not sure that, you know, the connection with this person is really like genuine. But how do I know? Because obviously I'm like, everything you're talking about is so important to know when it's your intuition and when it's not your intuition, right? So, because I don't obviously want this to show up in my body. And I do
Yes.
know that there are certain things like, I once had someone tell me, you carry the weight of the world on your shoulders. And I have chronic shoulder pain. So it's interesting what you're talking about. And so I guess my question is, like, how do you know that when your intuition is speaking, when you're getting a warning sign, or when it's, you know, just like fear or wounds from the past that are keeping you thinking that someone is like, that this person is not genuine and this person doesn't really, you know, I don't know, like help me with that.
I'm smiling a lot because I'm really excited you asked this question.
Okay.
Because it's a big one. It's such a huge one, and I would love to answer it. So there's two aspects to your question, okay? So I'm just gonna repeat it to make sure I understand it. So you're saying, how do I know what I'm sensing is my intuition is true and beneficial, and it's not just from some fear I had from a past experience, Or maybe it's not my intuition. How do I tell when I have a response, right? So that's really good. So I'm going to do a distinction that I share within, my inner guidance group, that I call the intuition as the voice of our spirit. And it doesn't talk to us necessarily in words. And some people would say, well, I have a voice in my head all the time talking to me, telling me stuff. And here's the difference, because the other voice is the ego. The ego will actually be talking to you in your language, okay? It'll speak to you in your language. And these are the things that the ego tends to do that's not the intuition, right? So the intuition is not judgy, okay? It doesn't kind of make something good and bad. It's just very neutral. It just sees things as it is without imposing the added meaning or evaluations. Make sense? And it doesn't have any kind of comparison. You see, here's the beautiful thing about going with your intuition, because there's no one else that's like you out there. So it doesn't even attempt to compare, because you're just unique yourself. But the ego is always comparing because it's very survival based, right? So it's not, so if you're feeling, that you're diminished or you're not enough or you're made to feel small, that's the ego doing its stuff, whether you have, grandiose overconfidence or inferiority complex. It's the same thing with the ego, right? And then it doesn't intend any harm, whatever message comes to you is not meant to harm you or anyone else. And it doesn't try to coerce you or manipulate you to do something that doesn't feel right. And that's why being tuned with your body is so important, because your truth and intuition is felt in your body. And that's why the message from the body is a good way to learn about, what you've been doing in the past. Because when you feel things are right for you, you feel relaxed. You don't have tension. The moment you feel tension is, the ego doing its stuff. Okay? So you get tense because you're fearful, you're protective, you're reacting. So one of the great things is, like, when you do yoga, meditation, you do get to this sort of really peaceful, relaxed space, right? And that's where you're really communing and connecting more with your spirit, your intuition. And that's also where you'll get more messages, more information comes through to you. Like, it'll just suddenly say, call this person, or someone, you think about somebody, like you listen to a song or you read you see a book, like it just sort of have this way of giving you messages. And so here are the things that is the intuition. It wants what is in your best interest. It has no other agenda than what's in your best interest and others around you. So it's always going for win-win. Now, sometimes we might have to make a choice for us that another person can feel hurt feelings, and we kind of feel like, well, but that's a temporary thing. In the long run, you will then see that there was benefit to just going that route, And I see the intuition as your voice's spirit. And your voice's spirit is here to have you find your self-expression. So when you're creating art or beauty or just doing something for your own pleasure and liking, it's like your spirit, things that delight you or just makes you feel good, or, that's sort of you connecting with your spirit. So that's why children are all artists, because you have to think about that when they come in the physical form, in the origin, it's like the, unification of spirit and body, right? So their spirit is really, really active and alive. And it's only as we get older that we begin to lose touch with it, because we want to integrate with the very logical world, right? And the thing with the intuition is that it will know things that you don't really understand. Like, you wouldn't understand it yet, but you just know. And that it understands all the natural laws, like the laws of cause and effect. And this is what you're actually experiencing in the result of your body. It is have recorded the cause and effect of everything, right? So sometimes your intuition gives you a cause and effect, like, oh, you just glanced at the gas gauge and you realize, oh, you understand it's cause and effect. If I don't do something soon, I could end up be out of gas and stuck somewhere. So it pushes you to take action, right? And one of the things, you mentioned about your shoulder, right? So that kind of signals something to you. For me, it's my knees, because I have, injuries in the past, and I know I have to take care of my knees my whole life if I want to stay active, right? So this is already part of, the cause and effect. If you don't take certain action, there will be a certain outcome that is not to your desire wanting. And you can act in a way that will give you your desire wanting. Make sense? So your intuition is always coming from love and not from fear. And then I'll answer the question about how do I know it's my past, like my past that's causing me. And this is very helpful because it's your body. Yes, you do react. What you're reacting now is actually you reacting to your past. It's very hard to sort of get that because we think I'm here, I'm responding to this person. So this is why the work with someone is really important, because it gives you a space to examine stuff. So if a person had a violating experience, say molestation or rape or whatever, it's very natural that you're gonna have very physical reaction to men who might resemble the perpetrator, or to just men in general, or you will be very uncomfortable with your personal space, or you just have a heightened reaction of protection from a harmful event from the past, right? And that takes work to separate that story that happened to you in the past, to not carry it in the present moment, So there is a journey that one has to go through to liberate themselves from it. Does that help to answer the question?
Yes, definitely. That was great. Especially the piece about your intuition is never like telling you what you shouldn't do. Your intuition is guiding you towards the love. And I think that that's the biggest thing, right? Because we're all like, I don't know if I'm the only person, but I'm like, oh no, I shouldn't do that. No, that's not good. Danger, danger, danger. And I'm like, that's my intuition telling me that. But I love what you said about it's going to lead you towards the right thing versus warn you against the things that you're afraid of. So thank you for that. That's great. Yeah.
Any other comments or questions?
Well, I would just say the previous comment where you said, you want to be back to your childlike. We've heard that a lot, but recently it's coming to me all the time in different ways, and you again today, in just looking for joy.
Yes.
So if we know that we are supposed to be joyful and that we can accomplish so much more in that energy, then thinking like a child is totally about joy, and thinking about what we used to do when we were children that made us happy. Like for me, I was dancing, I was singing. I mean, I was never a good dancer.
It doesn't matter.
It does not matter. I was on that swing singing along, and I want to recapture that. And I think that's kind of my mission in spreading around, because if I can feel like that child, but what you're saying is feel like that and rewrite your story. That's new, like to me.
Yeah.
Well,
it gives you more directive, right? It gives you more clarity to what you want to fulfill. So let me go a little bit about the child. Okay. So our whole lives is figure out who we are and just be ourselves. And when we're children, if we're in the safety of our home and our caregiver, we just be ourselves, And so young children, and when we become like much older, they just be themselves. This end spectrum, these two ends of the spectrum of life, because they kind of just when you're older, just like you don't care anymore, all the bullshit stuff, You just know that you got more important stuff that you want. If you don't like something, just say I don't like it. You don't try to be pleasing somebody else when deep down you rather not, or don't. So you don't waste time to do things that's not true to yourself. So these two spectrums just naturally embody that without much effort. And what happened is, in the middle part, you see, there's three basic things that's really, really strong in us. And that is safety, acceptance, and love, and also belonging. So these feelings are very powerful that we desire, because, you know, at some point, not belonging or ostracization is death, right? So we will compromise ourselves. We will give up what our true nature is to sort of somehow being a chameleon and fit in, you know, we're willing to. So this socialization process kind of desensitize us to knowing ourselves, desensitize us to actually understanding who we are, because it confuses us, right? And that's why, you know, I want people to work with their intuition. And, you know, I love it that we have these conversations with children. I mean, I have it with my kids, you know, because I emphasize that this is the way you are, and, you know, don't worry about it. You know, if you don't like this, you know, I mean, always try, right? Because sometimes we're just opinionated without really giving a chance, you know? So the aim is you owning back the declaration that you can be yourself, and you must be the first to love yourself, accept yourself, and that you can feel belonging anywhere because you already belong. You know, a lot of things that we are seeking is the conversation between the ego and the spirit, and the ego's, you know, perceptions. Because when we think about, you know, do I have worth? Am I enough? Do I belong? Am I loved? As a spirit, that's already all given to you. You already have all that, but you don't quite know it yet, right? And when you are a child, you know, because your parent love you, I mean, if you grow up in that, it's like naturally imbued on you. Does that make sense? And so you kind of just have it until you have certain experience in life that make you uncertain, right? And so your adult journey, you know, from 7, you know, till when you decide to say, what the heck, you know, I gotta be myself, is sort of reclaiming that. That's when you get to the point of belief is so cool, because you are going to be unstoppable. You just, because you recognize I'm powerful just because I decide to claim that power back, because I'm not giving it away by letting someone else validate me or having the approval, or, you know. So it's like that's why the writing your own story is powerful. And then, as if you can take the playfulness of a child, it doesn't have to be right. It's you want to find that joy, you want to find that a spark of excitement, or just because it's fun, or just because it delights me, just, you know. So it doesn't have to have the reasons. It's just the spirit being alive, and that's like in of itself is good, right? So yeah, that's sort of the journey and process, you know, I want to have people join me in doing, you know, because it's fun. And you clean up the junk, you know, you do have to clean up the junk, because that junk is heavy. It's heavy. It's like stuff you're dragging. It's like a ball of, you know, those long time ago prisoners were like shackled to these round balls of steel or whatever, right? It's like that stuff you're carrying, you know, like the shoulder, you know, so you must be carrying, I don't know, a 60-pound backpack or something, right? And so it feels that way to the body, you know, because you are living your life experiencing your responsibility that way, or putting on that need on your own shoulders, you know. And I would say one thing, and this is one of mine that I know there's an injury from childhood. So whenever we have a hard time asking for help, it's a really good sign that we have certain injuries from childhood, in terms of not feeling supported, you know, not feeling that if we ask someone will come to our aid and help us. You know, so there's some event, and sometimes very innocent, right? It could be just like your mom just got too busy, you know, she's cooking, whatever. It could be innocent thing, but sometimes it could be also be very bad parenting and malice. So, you know, it can be from many scenarios, but it's this sense that if I just use my voice to make a request, it doesn't get fulfilled. You know, so as some type of experience like that, we end up not be courageous to just ask people, and also not to be hurt by people declining, right? Because people can say no, we can say no, anyone can say no, and the no is not to you, the no is to the thing, right? And what happens when we're children is we get so attached to wanting something. When we're said no to, we think we're being said no to us as the being, which is just a misinterpretation. Does that make sense? All right, any more questions? So that's a lot of fun.
I love this, Yendre. It's great. So I was gonna just ask, maybe for the next like few minutes of the webinar, maybe you can share a little bit of some steps we can take. Like, so you talked about writing your own story, writing your future, and so what are some other things that we can start to do? Obviously, like, working with you, right? Having chats with you. Yeah. But some things that we can do to release, these old patterns or these old beliefs and start to follow our intuition a little bit more. Do you have any tips on that?
Yes, I do. So it's daily practice. You know, I wrote one of my posts is that we get better at whatever we're practicing. You know, if you practice complaining, you get better at complaining. If you practice gratitude, you get better at being a grateful person, right? So intuition is a muscle and skill. You know, you are naturally gifted with it. You're born with it. Some people are definitely more in tune with it. So I may want to do another talk called Are You an Empath? And How to Survive and Thrive. Because empathic people are more connected with their emotions, and so you actually also naturally are more intuitive. And the difficulty with empath is that they sometimes can't tell between their emotions and other people's emotions. So that becomes, you know, causes a lot of difficulty in that person's life. So the way to clear the clean space is really meditation. If you can understand the profoundness of meditating, it's basically you communing with your spirit. Now, everyone can do different things to do this. If meditation is not your thing because it's just, you just can't quiet your mind, or you get fidgety, or you get rest, you know, like whatever might be keeping you from doing that now, you can do other stuff, like dancing. If you can think about communing with the spirit is something that helps you be really focused and remain, like keep you stay in the present moment. So your spirit is always in the present moment. It does not time travel, which your ego does with the past and future. Okay? So if you want to practice, is really getting better at connecting with the present moment. That practice will help you. So I also teach people to do muscle testing themselves, which I'll show you. And you can use that as a backup confirmation for your intuition. Okay? So I just finished about the practice, different kinds of practice for strengthening your intuition. So journaling for people who, not just journaling, like writing down like a diary, like, oh, this happened, and you know, those can be helpful, but it doesn't give you insights. Okay? The intuition has a way of distilling things to a nugget, you know? Like it just seems to be able to capture some kind of truthful essence, right? And that's what you want to get better at. So if you are, like some people get into the present moment, could be walking. I know one patient, his thing is to go for walks. And I know people who gone through having to make a very difficult decision, they go out for a walk, you know, and other people that could be running. And, you know, I love that part in the movie Forrest Gump. I know if you know it, Forrest Gump, where he was in so much pain because, you know, the woman he loves leaves and so forth. He just runs, right? Like that was his healing. That was his healing, you know? And basically just, he wants to stay in the present moment, you know? So yeah, any practice that help you stay in the present moment. People like to do knitting, right? Knitting is something you have to be, and sometimes people actually do it, but still kind of, it's meditative, you know? There's many things that is like art. Like if you are drawing or painting, you have to be really focused in that moment. Music, you know? So that will be the thing. You find what is you, and then you can expand on that. Yes.
Yeah, just can you go back to the journaling, because
Yes.
that is fairly new to me. I'm starting to try to have that in my practice, but I tend to write about something I thought about or grateful for or something.
Yes, those are good.
You just said, you know, the intuition is more about these nuggets and trying to have these insights. So just expand a little bit. So what would that look like?
So sometime as you're journaling, there'll be just breakthrough thoughts that come through. So your intuition also communicates, the subconscious more precisely will also communicate to you through your dreams. Okay. And the thing is, when you have a dream, if you don't write it down, it just like fades, like, you know, just vanishes. So sometimes you have a thought, like a clear thought, and you have to write it down, because it doesn't always come in that same way. Okay. So that's what I mean by, so if you do any practice, for me, it's meditation, there will be thoughts that come to you, and that's a good time to journal.
That's exactly right. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. But sometimes it could be in a shower.
Yeah.
You know, or in your car. Right? Yeah. It's just sort of where you get in this space where you're not thinking too much of the past or future.
Okay.
And that's when you connect. Because your spirit's always just living the moment. Right? It's living. And if you have to direct your attention to connect with it.
Okay.
You know, so that's really, that's the work. You said something that triggered off my thought, and it kind of just went away. Maybe I'll come back. So ask more questions.
Well, I think that, you know, meditation is a little bit misunderstood, because we all think that through meditation, we're not supposed to think about anything. And actually, meditation is when thoughts come to me that I hadn't thought about, because you're quieting, right?
Right.
And
so there's, so there's many, you okay if I speak a bit about meditation?
I'm good.
Okay. So there's many ideas, but so let me define a few things. There is meditating where you just follow your thoughts. Okay? You just sort of like go with the thoughts and so forth. That is not the best training, just so you know. But it's still useful practice. So it's a muscle, like I said. Anything you want to get better at, you just need to do it often and practice it. But you also sometimes need the clarity to understand what you're practicing, like what exactly you're practicing on, you know? So there's two things that are helpful to work on your intuition with meditation. So for me, it's always connecting with your breath and your body, because these two things are always in the present moment. You know, your body can't be any place else except the here and now, and neither you're breathing. You know, you can't breathe for tomorrow, or, you know, breathe for what you didn't breathe the moment before. So it's always here. So if you connect with your breath and your body, that will instantly bring you to the present moment. So in some ways, any time of your day, if you just connect back to your body's feeling and just relax your body, you are connecting to the present moment. So it can happen like that. So you can do that, interrupt it all the time in your day, or you can do that while you're doing the dishes, or you can do that while you're sitting, like just become aware. So that's already helping you, just bringing back more moments of you being with your, connecting with the present moment. Now, there's guided meditations, right? There's guided meditations, there's visualization ones, so these ones are not the same as training the muscle building, like the building up of your connection with your spirit and the present moment, okay? It's not the same. But they all are useful because it does train you to be still. And it's getting better at that stillness that allows the channeling of information and your intuition speaking to you, like you're opening the communication channels. So that's how all these practice enhance that development. So if you're just going to meditate and watch your thoughts, that is still a form of meditation, but it's not as strengthening and control, you know, because when you do the deeper meditation of just being still, being one-pointed, being just connected, you will then open up the gateway even bigger to a lot of information. Okay, so this is where the universal knowledge can channel through you. Does that make sense? So that's the differences. Yes. And, you know, just feel for yourself what you want to develop. Like, what would be something you want to get better at? Or what are you able just to embrace right now?
I was going to say that sometimes you know, some people that say to me, I hate meditation. It's because they're trying to do this very quiet, try to be still all at once, and they've never done it. And
it takes practice.
Yes, sorry about that. So I think that maybe doing a guided meditation to start, which I was doing for quite a while.
Yes.
Has made me like meditation.
Great.
Takes you to a place and calms the body and all of this. And I'm doing the Oprah and the Deepak Chopra 28-day thing now. And it's brought me back to doing the quiet meditation.
Good.
Right?
Good.
And, but I appreciate you telling us the difference because one training for different things.
Yes. Yes. So the body one, there's some other name for it, what is called the body scan. So I'm just telling you, you know, so it's just one take on that where they, you know, give it a name, the body scan, where you kind of just be connected with parts of your body as you move through. Yeah. There's many, many different, you know, just go with whatever will help you do more. You know, the doing more is the good part. Okay. But the training, if you want to get broaden in your connectiveness and more intuitiveness, and this is beyond just what's good for you in your life, is like accessing a lot of information. If you want to go into that level of being like psychic or whatever, you can, you know, then you need to become really present and not affected and have, you know, just being really still, because it's the stillness that it's like you stop interfering with the signal coming through. It's really, we are just interfering in information process getting through, you know? So it's about us getting out of the way. Yeah, it's so weird. It's almost like we have to undo, you know? A lot of the work is just cleaning up the stuff, undoing the stuff, undoing our own obstacle in being our way. Yeah. And then, yeah.
Yendre, I just love the way that you explain all of this. Like, you say it in such a way that it is so understandable and so easy to relate to. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
You're amazing. Yeah. Just because there's only a few minutes left and I do want to respect everyone's time. So I just wanted to make sure that you could share sort of like how you work with people. Do you work with people online? You know, do they have to sort of come into your office? Share a little bit about that and where, how people can get in touch with you maybe.
Yes. Thank you. So if people like to just continue this conversation and be more involved in doing this work with me or just themselves, there's many ways. So you can keep up communication with me if you want to just join the group Inner Guidance. okay, which I'm just there to share thoughts to prompt your awareness in engaging yourself with building your intuition, right? You can work directly with me if there's a health issue that you want to really have as an access point to working on your life, because that's what I do. When people came to me, I didn't know at the time that I'm just helping them build their intuition, because I want them to become independent over time to make good choices. And so I'm always doing that, and I'm just becoming really conscious of that's how I work, and I want to make myself available to people who may not want to be my patients, right? And so people can do coaching if that's what your desire is. You know, I can do group coaching or I can do individual coaching. So I tend to aim for long-term commitment, because that's really where you get the results. It's not going to be, you can get short-term result, but I want you to build that muscle, you know? It's not, you're not going to get the muscle yourself for you to do it yourself if you don't spend enough time for the, you know, process to train and know how to undo the things that's always tripping you up. And that's the thing that is the hardest, I think, you know, getting through that. And my foundation is always to build self-care. Self-care is always the foundation, because without that, it's hard for us to have the energy to do the self-expression part, because we're just surviving. You know, we're not looking after ourselves to be, you know, healthy, physically, mentally, emotionally, having the energy. So that is just the foundation, you know. And in your talk about plant-based foods, right? Those are the foundation to knowing how to eat well that will nurture your body, you know, because there's so many things that can just be solved, like you said, PMS or, you know, headaches or all kind of things that just we can just clean that up easily, you know. So the foundation is always about your lifestyle self-care, because without that in place, it's just hard to get the energy to focus on other stuff, and you can't do those other stuff well, you know. So yeah, or just have a conversation with me. There is a technique I do to help people identify where are their intuitive skills. So, you know, you're welcome to just have a call if you want to explore that. What's our time? I can show you very quick. Oh, we have time. Let's show you the muscle testing that you can do to help you with how to know what's a yes or no. Okay. So the intuition is very basic. Okay. It doesn't have long conversations. If you're having a long conversation in your head, that's the ego. Okay. All right. So, you know when intuition, it just comes through like a very a clear, just like a clear statement. It's just there. It's like, you know, it's like, hey, just like, you know, think about this, you know, look over here. It's like that, you know, just very simple. All right. So your body knows what's a yes, what's a no. Okay. So I use muscle testing, and that's what muscle testing is trying to find out, a yes or no. So you do have to use questions that are easy to answer, like a yes or no question. So I do muscle testing by just linking your index and your thumb, and I interlock them. Yeah. So everyone's yes and no is different. Okay. So I'm not going to show you mine. So there's something you know that's true, like maybe it's your name. Okay. Do you connect with your name as who you identify with? Okay. So what you do is you say your name, and then you just pull your finger. Okay. Good. Just do it. Say, did you just start tuning the other things out and just say, you know, my name is this, and then you just check. Yeah. All right. Good. So you weren't sure. That's okay. So it seemed like for Joanne, right? Yours came apart, right? When you said yeah, so you asked your name, yeah, and yours came together, right? Yeah. Good. So that can be your yes. Okay. So now just close your eyes. This is when you're seeing other things, it distracts your, remember, it's about being really clean and focused, right? So now say something that's totally not true. So say I'm a man, or I have a red dress on or something. Okay. And then do the same. Pull your finger apart when you think it and say it. Okay, just try. So don't think too much. This is where you have to take away the doubt and the am I doing it right? You know, am I gonna mess up? You know, like if you have all those thoughts, it kind of interferes. So you become a child where you just sort of go with it. You believe it. You don't try to, you know, figure it out logically. Okay. So I saw, yeah, just ask it. You know, I have a red dress on, so just go. All right. All right, so Natalie, I see that yours, this is a yes, and this is a no. So now you can use it more. Okay, so the way to start the beginning is use it for things you know the answer. So use it for things you know as a way to build up your strength. And then over time, you use it for stuff that you kind of know, but you're not sure. Okay, so sometimes it takes practice.
I love
okay?
that. Yeah, I love it.
All right. And Joanne, I think you're not quite sure. So if you want to,
I'm still in my head because I'm trying to say no resistance. And when I say
Yes.
no resistance, it goes like this.
yeah. So you are interrupting the message to come through.
Practice it on my own.
You know?
Okay.
Yeah. So as I said, if you want to just do a short call to work on, you know, what's your intuitive skill, or if you want to just refine this and get it right or whatever, you're welcome to that. And yeah, join the Inner Guidance group.
Is that a Facebook group?
Yes, Facebook group. Because my mission is to get 300 people by June. I'm at 93 or something.
That's no problem, girl. We could do that.
All right. We have to remind people. Thank you so much. It was so much fun.
Yendre, you're amazing. Like, I could just listen to you talk for forever. I love this. I love the work that you're doing, and I commend you for combining the physical and the intuitive. I think this is such important work. So thank you so much.
Yes. Your body knows the truth. Your body knows the truth. Yes. Good.
Amazing.
All right. Wonderful. All right, thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah. Thanks.
Have a good one. Have a great day. Bye.
Bye.